Welcome back all. So we're just going to go ahead and continue with loops. Let me just go ahead and switch my notes on the other screen. Generally, what you just saw now, this is switching in between screens, one and another. When you pop this, it just kind of bursts into all the windows that are currently open. On this desktop, I only have one, and on the other, I have like 10 million of them open. So anyway, sometimes in regard to the loops, I do believe that I have it written out. No, this is a while loop, sorry. So anyway, sometimes it is necessary for the loop to execute at least once, regardless of the condition. And that is why we need the do while loop, which is fairly similar to the while loop. Here, let me just enlarge it for you a little bit. For example, say we want our program to prompt the user to enter a positive number. If the user does not enter a positive number, we want to prompt the user to enter it again and again and again and again until the user actually enters a positive number. Once the user enters a positive number, the program output the program will output its square value, but in general the loop will terminate as well, so it will no longer be prompting the user to enter a number. So how would we achieve this? So we want we need this prompt to happen at least once, and if there is a wrong input, we want it to repeat itself. But no matter what, we want this prompt to happen at least once so that the user be asked to enter a positive number. We want to for this purpose, we will want to use a loop that executes at least once, as I said, regardless of the condition. Why once? Well, because we want to let the user enter the number regardless, as I've stated. So if the number is positive, then the loop stops executing. Otherwise, it will repeat the process until the user gives a positive number, or until the user goes mad and exits the program. So the pseudocode for this will look something like this. Okay. So you will have a do for the loop, and then you will have, I don't know, x will equal, this is a stupid way of me writing it now, but get number is just a function of some sort. So we will be placing some sort of a number into an x, which will be a condition. So you will notice that the condition will go at the end. So while, and then you will have the condition down below. The condition will be that the x be a positive number. So we will input something into x, and then the condition will be evaluated whether it is a positive number or not. So let's write this in a way that's more understandable for you at this point in time. Let's type in, there will be a block of code here, and here you will have condition. And one key difference is that we will need a semicolon at the end. So there is a semicolon here, remember that, regardless of whether we place no semicolons here or for any other loops. There is one here. Key difference. So there's a block of code, and then there is a condition which is being evaluated down below. So let's go ahead and see how can we make this work. So we can delete the pseudocode. And we're not going to need most of this. Let's just go ahead and delete it all the way up. So we will need int10. So there will be an integer that will be declared here. And immediately down below, we will jump into writing a do while loop. So let's go ahead and type in do. And here we will type in std : cout, enter natural number n. Okay. This was painful. std : cn. Excellent. So we have the first part, which basically prints out onto the screen, and it states enter a natural number n. So whatever that might be, just enter it. And then the user will be given a way of inputting that number n, which needs to be a natural number in order for this loop to terminate. And down below, we will enter a condition. Now, the condition might be somewhat counterintuitive, but I will explain it in a moment. Lesser than or equals to 0. So the condition is this one here. It basically states repeat while not natural number. As long as the number is not a natural number, keep on repeating. When we get to this point, we are certain that the user entered a positive number. Why? Well, as long as the user keeps entering something, keeps entering a 0 or a negative number, this condition will evaluate the true. Because if you enter -1 and it's -1, is it that less or equal to 0? It is less or equal to 0. It's actually less than 0. If you enter a 0, is it less or equal to 0? It's equal to 0. So this one will continuously keep on evaluating to true, and the loop will continue repeating itself. But say you enter number 10 or 1 or 5 or something like that, well, in that case, n will no longer be lesser than or equal to 0. Therefore, the condition will become false, and the loop will terminate. And at that point in time, we are certain, absolutely certain, that the user entered a positive number, whatever that might be. Okay, so so there are obviously inherent flaws in this. We didn't cover double or floating point or stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. I'm just giving you the general idea. So double, SQRT, because it's like integer n, and I don't know, you might confuse it by entering 1 point something or stuff like that. It's just gonna get the parts will just get truncated in all likelihood, and you won't get what you expect. I'll just confuse it a little bit. Anyway, that part doesn't really matter at the time being. I just want to explain the do while loop and its logic. So we will declare a variable double, and we will name it SQRT for like square root, and we will initialize the value of the variable SQRT underline n to std colon, and we're going to use something different this time. We're going to use a function, and that's going to be SQRT, and we shall place n here. So this function will return, it will actually compute the square root, and it will, down below, we will print it out. So this function will return the value. The equivalent of this will be the square root of n. So of this entire statement, the equivalent will be the actual square root of n, which will be assigned to this variable, and it will be printed out. We will deal with the functions and all of that, but I just wanted to throw it in here, a hint of what is to come. So let's go ahead, std cout, and let's go ahead and type in SQRT, and we'll do this. This is gonna look a little bit weird, but just take a look at it a couple of times and you will be able to figure it out. I assure you, it's not a difficult format. It's not some complex formatting that I'm doing here, but I will explain it anyway. And it's gonna be std colon and L. Okay, so if the cout is the last line and you don't need anything to be printed in the same line, it's not a bad idea to put endel at the end, as it does flushes the buffer. Anyway, we have cout, so it's just, this is going to be the text that is printed out onto the screen, and then we have number n, which will be printed out onto the screen. That is the number that the user entered, and then we want to close the parentheses. So you will get a printout on the screen, something like this, I guess. Well, not I guess, but exactly like this. SQRT, some number n will be there, obviously an integer, not a letter n. And you see this parentheses is here, is right here, and the first parentheses is here, and the sqrt that is this part, and then it shall go like this, equal, and then there will be again some value here, which will be the square root of the number n which we have given. So the printout will be in this format. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this program and see what becomes of it. Of course, there's an error. Why is there an error here? Well, we didn't include a library which would enable the usage of these math functions. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Include cmath. So you see, you won't be able to actually use the math functions that are available to you without including the proper libraries. So the cmath we're including here because we would like to use the function for calculating the square root. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that again. Excellent, so enter a natural number. Let's say I enter -2. It's going to say again, enter a natural number. 0. Again. Okay, so let's enter, I don't know, let's enter number 9. And there you go, it says square root of 9 equals to 3. Sorry, I didn't include the space down below when I was giving it to you an example, but hey, what can you do about it? So the square root of 9 is indeed 3. If you don't believe me, go ahead and check it for yourselves. 3 times 3 is actually 9. Okay, so let's close it. Let's run the program one more time, and let's go ahead and say that that it's not a very nice number, that we are going to enter something like 11111. So you see, now it says that the square root of 1111 is 33.3317. It will calculate it. If you don't believe me, take up a calculator and or take up a pen and a pencil. Paper and pencil, pen and a pencil. Take a paper and a pencil, or a pen if you prefer it, and then go ahead and start calculating. Or if you trust your calculator on your cell phone, feel free to do it that way as well. Anyway, that would be it in terms of a do while loop. Next up, we'll jump into for each loop.